I do not wield power, my dear sir. I am just an ordinary citizen, like any other citizen of this country, with the same yearn, with the same crave that any ordinary man anywhere shares, the same aspirations, to realize the creative potentials in any being.
Something that should have happened at this magnitude a while ago. The Thomas Sankara's Foundation have done their best to keep his legend alive, and we've always been happy to support. President Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings was certainly, my father was certainly a huge supporter of the foundation, and he was a very close friend of Thomas Sankara. So it means a lot to be here, and it means a lot that the whole of Africa was more or less here to support this momentous occasion.
Because aside from the fact that it actually brought together a lot of heads of states and representatives of various countries in the sub-region, it also is a very important milestone in terms of a country understanding the significance of its history and paying tribute to its history and making sure that current generations don't forget the history in order to be able to chart a forward path. And I think that the mausoleum that has been set up in honor of the late Captain Thomas Sankara and his 12 comrades who were slain in 1987 is really just a testament of the value that Burkina Faso places on its history and on its heroes. And the presence of Ghana here, a big delegation from Ghana, as well as representatives of President Rawlings' family, myself and two of my siblings here on behalf of the family as well, is really a show of solidarity of what the history that our two countries have in common. But I think that beyond that, it's also an important milestone in that with the current geopolitics, it serves as a rallying point for many of the countries in the sub-region to perhaps take a moment to reflect on what it means to be African, what it means to be West African, and how we identify ourselves within this complex, what has become in many cases a proxy war in the sub-region. And it's important because it gives us an opportunity to understand that the youth of our continent really have a very high expectation of where they would like the future of this continent to go. And we need to make sure that in providing leadership and governance, we're providing hope as well. And this monument is supposed to represent hope. But I think it's also a strong message to us in Ghana. I believe within the next 24 hours, there's going to be a street that's officially named after the late Flight Lieutenant President Jerry John Rawlings. They're honoring our former president. I think my father, yes, of course, thank you. I think it's something that if as Ghanaians we haven't taken notice of, we should recognize the fact that we should honor our past. We should honor our past leaders And certainly the fact that they have singled out the late President Jerry John Rawlings is significant for Ghana as a country. And I believe that moving forward, we need to, in terms of our relationship between Ghana and Burkina Faso, need to understand that the nature of our porous borders, the significance of our common history, means that we have to find creative ways in which we can collaborate to help resolve this issue of violent extremism and terrorism in the sub-region, if indeed we want to create a brighter future for generations to come.
33-year-old soldier, he was ahead of his time. He turned his back on international aid money and loans from organizations like the World Bank, instead favoring self-sufficiency and calling for a more equal relationship with France, the country's former colonial power. On the 15th of October 1987, Sankara was killed by an armed group along with 12 officials. His closest friend and former colleague Blaise Compaoré took power. He, along 13 others, were on trial, accused of murdering Sankara. Blaise Compaoré was ousted in 2014 following a popular uprising that brought an end to his 27-year rule. He lives in exile in neighboring Ivory Coast and refused to take part in this trial. His supporters saw it as a political witch hunt. According to official government documents, Sankara died a natural death, but in 2015, authorities exhumed his remains from a grave. An autopsy revealed his body was riddled with bullets.
Honored to stand with you this afternoon on this very special date of May the 17th, 2025, for the official inaugural ceremony given to the Thomas Sankara and his 12 companions mausoleum here at the Thomas Sankara Memorial. My pleasure to sum up in a few words the first two speeches delivered at the introduction of the ceremony. In fact, we opened up enthusiastically with the welcoming address of Mr. Maurice Konate, High Commissioner of the province of Kadiogo, President of the Special Delegation of Ouagadougou. He underlined that it is with great joy and deep emotion that he took the floor on this historic day to welcome all of you to Ouagadougou, capital of our beloved homeland, Burkina Faso. For him, your warm and numerous presence is a proof that our collective memory is alive and that history continues to bring us together. We are gathered here today to inaugurate the mausoleum of Thomas Sankara and his companions, a memorial to those who sacrificed their lives for the ideals of justice, dignity, sovereignty, and progress. He insisted that this mausoleum is much more than a monument. It's a symbol. It embodies the spirit of the August 1983 revolution. It reminds all of us of the unshakable commitment of President Thomas Sankara and his 12 companions who fell on October the 15th, 1987, and it calls on all of us to pursue the dream of a Burkina with integrity and standing. This project, supported by the nation's driving forces and carried by the will of the people, today finds its full meaning, that of doing justice to memory, educating generations, and promoting strong patriotic values. In this respect, he solemnly appealed to all of the inhabitants of Ouagadougou and to all the people of Burkina Faso and all visitors to make this place their own, to make it a place for meditation and reflection, but also a place for passing on our history and on our struggles. He wished on one hand that this mausoleum will live to the rhythm of memory, but also to the rhythm of life, exchanges, and cultural and civic sharing. On the other hand, he wishes that this ceremony will also be an opportunity for you to discover or to rediscover the human, artistic, and historical riches of our capital. Ladies and gentlemen, after this engaging and inspiring speech of Mr. Konate, the President of Thomas Sankara Memorial International Committee, retired Colonel Major Daouda Traoré. He took the floor on behalf of the International Committee to welcome all the attendees and to salute the presence of their excellencies in this place charged with history and intense emotions. For him, This ceremony is a significant step forward in their mission to promote and to perpetuate the memory and ideals of our nation's proclaimed hero, Captain Thomas Sankara. Having allowed Thomas Sankara and his 12 companions to be buried on the very spot where they were savagely murdered on October 15, 1987, has made this great memorial project a tangible reality. And effectively, here we are before a mausoleum that rises proudly to the heavens, who he strongly believes wanted it to be the work of the architect Diébedo Francis Kéré, our world-renowned and respected compatriot. Recognizing the merits of values of this exceptional man, President Sankara, means also giving wings to the ambitions of the nations. In a national and international context made more complex by terrorism, spawned by imperialism and neocolonialism, served by their local and henchmen and armchair slaves, His Excellency, the President of Faso Head of State, continues to forge ahead despite the obstacles, strong in popular support, convinced and determined to ensure the happiness of all citizens based on the general interest, the common good and shared responsibility. He recalled the date of October 15, 2022, when His Excellency, the President of Faso Head of State, had just taken up his responsibilities to turn Burkina Faso's fortune around and didn't hesitate to come here to the memorial to receive the torch of the People's Democratic Revolution from the hands of the late President Pierre Ouédraogo. We were all convinced at the time that he was the heir, the relay, who could take over and continue the triumphal race towards the horizon of our happiness. From now on, certainly Thomas Sankara and his 12 companions will henceforth rest in these places of remembrance in dignity for prosperity, which will undoubtedly inspire Africans and citizens of the world.